let's talk about how to be your own damn Valentine and why it's so important. Hey guys, welcome to the Happy Way podcast, your go-to place for all things fun, happiness, well-being, growth, trust, and diversity. I am your host, Melissa Fideli, and I am here to inspire and connect everyone who chooses health and happiness so you can be your healthiest self and live life the happy way. Welcome back, everyone. Today's episode is a must listen because it is all about self-love and how to really nourish your whole self from the inside out. We talk about the most important relationship you will ever have in your life, the one you have with yourself. Self-love has become such a buzzword in the past few years, but today we break things down, take away the BS, and put you back in touch with why it's so important. To take us on this journey, we have love and relationship expert Dr. Love, who you may remember from episode 12. Dr. Love is basically a modern-day cupid with an extensive list of trainings and certifications in coaching, mindfulness, and social science. She knows how to help you discover love and create connections that last a lifetime. So welcome. Welcome
Thanks
back.
for having me back.
Yeah, of course. I couldn't wait to get you back in. I loved our last episode.
Yeah, we always have a good time.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
So we've got Valentine's Day coming up, and I was sitting there and I was thinking, what can I make this episode about? And then I thought, you know what? What's more important than the relationship you have with you? The self-love that you have for yourself. So I thought, let's talk about how to be your own damn Valentine and why it's so important. So I'm going to get you to give us, what is the real definition of self-love?
You're right. You said initially it's a buzzword, and that's exactly what it is. I think for me in this industry, February is one of the busiest times of the year because people think they should be in love, they should have love, they should have a gift. There's all of these things that they should have in February. And you should actually have those things all the time. And so I often talk about the best love is self-love. And it's been in the media and across a lot of, we see it all the time.
Everywhere.
And people are like, what is self-love? Is that just doing your hair?
Yeah,
is that like,
facial.
all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's really a knowing that you don't need validation or gratification from anyone else but self. That is really what self-love is. So it means that you're confident in your own right. You're confident with your life. You're content. And I'm not saying it's perfect. No. I'm saying that you're confident enough to be able to handle what comes your way. Now, I'm not saying you're going to not be upset or you're not going to be angry at times or feel resentful. All of those things, they're emotions that are quite normal. But it's really whether or not you're able to be able to say, hang on a minute, I love myself enough that I can fill my own cup up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship or not. Your cup's your responsibility. And if you do receive love from others, that's just a bonus.
That's a bonus. Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
What does it mean for not just our mental health, but also our physical health? Because like we said at the start, a lot of people get self-love and self-care confused. It's not just the things you do for your external. It's like, how does it make a difference internal?
Yeah, because a state of self-love is an internal state.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the physical external world, right? So it's that wholeness. Happy in your own state of being.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So not relying on external situations at all. So not waiting for him or her to make me happy. Not waiting for the job, not waiting for the pay rise, not waiting until I'm, 10 kilos lighter. It's literally saying, I am okay with where I am and who I am right now.
Yeah.
And the other stuff really is a bonus and they're goals to work on, but it doesn't make you who you are. So it's really that sense of wholeness.
Yeah.
Mentally, we can really grow into the favorite version of ourselves because we don't need to be praised or we don't need the adoration from anyone else but ourselves. So which means it's transferable. We can go anywhere in the world, in any time in our lives, we can feel love. Yeah. And that's just so powerful to be able to be in control of that. what I find in relationships is that when you give that control to somebody else to make you happy, is that you're a puppet on a string. You can't go to another country because I won't be loved. I won't be attached. What will I do without them? And so it becomes quite codependent. So mentally, it's not good for the person that needs the cup filled, so the person waiting for someone to fill it up, and it's not good for the person that's filling the cup, right? So it becomes a real almost toxic encounter because I need you and you need me, and let's face it, two empty cups that come together stay empty. And then you just get angry and you just get resentful at each other because you're not filling my cup up. But you've come with an empty cup, right? So that's really important. So mentally, really important to say, I am going to be my favorite version of myself with or without somebody. And if you think about the physical body, self-love is about enjoying your life, being present in the moment. We so often stay in the past. You know, I should have done this. I wish I didn't do that. I made a mistake. Why did that happen to me? A recipe for possibly some feelings of depression, feeling stuck in that space. You can't change the past. And so, or we stay in the future and we're going, oh my God, I'm worried about that. What if that happens? I'm scared, nervous. And then we've got a recipe for anxiety. Right? Because anything that happens in the past that you've got no control of, that you can't let go of, is a recipe for depression. And anything that's in the future that you're anxious about and worried about is a recipe for anxiety. So if you stay in the present, you're already alleviating those two variables, right?
Amazing.
So let's just deal with the here and now, and let's not miss out because ultimately we just need to deal with what's going to happen right this minute. We have no control over what happened anymore. And no control over what's going to happen. Okay, but we can make choices right now that will determine where we're going. So physically, it's be in the present. Find joy in movement. You know, I know you're an advocate for this. It's
absolutely.
Move your body. You know, move. Really appreciate that we can move. You know, the mindset, I was reading something the other day and they were saying, the mindset is people wake up and go, oh my gosh, I have to go to work or I have to go to the gym or I have to go on a walk. You know, if we just shift that one word to have to and say, I can. I get to. I get to get up to go to work. I get to get up and go for a walk. I get to go to the gym. Like it's a gift.
Absolutely.
We're not entitled, everyone's just not entitled to those same resources. So there's a lot of things that we take for granted. So just find joy in moving your body. You know, socialize with people. When you're socializing around good people, your tribe, and I promise it does take a little while to get there. Sometimes when you're on this little track of self, you know, awareness and, you know, unpacking, you tend to offload a tribe that you were with and you feel like you don't fit in anywhere. And then it's like, oh, there you are. This is
you're
it.
my person.
You're my person or you're my people, right? It's like we're Martian and we're out there, we're going, where are they?
Where are they? Where are my friends?
Where are my minions? You know? So it's definitely find people that fill you up. Not your cup up, but fill up you that you've got energy, that you like to be, that you're not leaving them feeling more taxed than you were when you got there. You want to leave someone and go, oh my God, I'm inspired. That was really awesome. I feel good. So those little things are around self-love. Because why would you put yourself in a position where they don't love you and you don't feel like you love yourself when you leave?
And you feel crap after you leave them.
Not worth it. So those two things pretty much, mentally and physically, they're the two things that sort of come up.
In clinic, I often, I try and suss out how people feel about themselves because I find that when it comes to nutrition and creating a really nourishing and healthy lifestyle, nothing actually sticks if someone doesn't care for their body and have a good level of self-love, and I often try and get people to identify where they are with that and really work on those little bits and pieces, and push them in the right direction so they can get the help that they need in that area. Because I feel like when it comes to anything in life, whether it's a lifestyle change, a dietary change, a relationship change, nothing's going to stick until you feel good about who you are and you're feeling present and you're ready because you're like, I deserve to do this. My body deserves this. I am amazing. I'm going to do all these things because they're going to make me feel even better.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like when you don't have that, you know, you don't love yourself. You don't care about what you're eating. You don't care if you're going to the gym or not. You don't care who you're around because you're probably going to gravitate more towards toxic people because you actually like being around them, whether you admit that or not. I mean, you know, I'm not, that's your area, not mine, but
it's true.
You know, we don't want the things that are good for us, whether that's conscious or not. Because we don't feel that we deserve it. And I think, you know, whether it's, you know, nutrition or whatever, I find that as well, that if people don't love who they are, they're not going to be willing to nourish themselves.
Yeah.
You know,
right. They've got to be worthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I worthy of this?
Yeah.
And if there's some self-worth stuff coming up, that's where the challenge is because someone else is worth it. Yeah. They'll give their energy to somebody else, whether it's a child, a partner, a parent, and they'll put themselves last. And they present and they go, you know what? I'm exhausted. I'm flatlined. I've got no emotion. I'm just surviving. Fix me.
Yeah.
And you'll get it with nutrition and through the body and I'll get it through the mind and the heart. Yeah. And you can't fix that.
No.
That's a work in progress, right? But that doesn't sit with us as the clinician.
Yeah.
That sits with them.
Yeah.
And so they do the work.
Yeah.
We just help them navigate their way there.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really does affect everything, all the goodness in your life. Yeah. So I really wanted to help people who are listening really become aware of where they're at and how they can move to the next level.
Yeah.
So I thought, what are some really good questions that you could ask yourself to gain a better understanding of where you're currently at when it comes to how you feel about yourself on that deeper level?
Yeah. Okay. So it's a good idea to take a self-evaluation of where am I on the thinking train? And when I say the thinking train, am I on the negative Nancy train? Yeah. Am I on positive Pete's train? Right? Poor Nancy and Pete. We're always using their names. Maybe I won't use that anymore, but you get my point, right?
I get it.
We've always got these two trains and they're going opposite ways, right?
Yeah.
And so where do I sit mostly? Because the idea would be is that we spend a lot more time on the positive train and have fleeting moments where we get onto, you know, the negative train and go, you know what, this isn't working. We come back onto the positive train. So it's really taking a self-evaluation. Where am I most of the time?
Yeah.
Okay. If I am in a negative space, are you able to identify why? Why you're always there? What your triggers are? What are you doing? Because if you're able to do that, then you're going to get a better understanding of yourself and then your self-love increases, right? But if you can't do that, it means there's some fog and some blur around really who you are. Yeah. And sometimes you need some help to do that. Yeah. You know, the best of us can get onto this negative train and go, I'm not sure why I'm here, but I want to figure it out. So sometimes we need some help to work out where we are with that. Yeah. So I would say if you can do a self-evaluation and go, where am I? How am I thinking? Because the power of the thought is everything. If you don't think you're worthy, then you'll act like you're not worthy. Yeah. If you don't think you love yourself or anybody else loves you, then you will attract those people that don't love you. And it starts with here. So I am saying self-evaluation. If you can't do it, get some help to do it. We as professionals do that all the time. If I'm stuck, I'm like, hang on a minute, I need to know the answer.
Absolutely.
It's not that I don't ever get onto, you know, Nancy's train. Yeah. I always, you know, will fleet over there. And but the thing is I love myself enough to jump off. Yeah. Right. And I talk about it like, you know, it's like if you're spending so much time on Nancy's train and you're in that negative space, it's like you're always it's like you've got you got sunlight and moonlight, right? You can't stay in the sun 24 hours a day. Yeah. You know, even though we love the sun, we get to a point where we go, this is not good for us and it's unhealthy, so I'm going to remove myself and go into the shade, right? It's the same as your mental state and your self-love. If you are somewhere that is that's harmful, it's up to you to reflect and go, this is not healthy for me.
Yeah.
I'll just get up and remove myself and put myself on the other train.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you can't reflect and go, why was I like that? You don't have to stay in the negative space to be able to reflect.
Yeah.
You can move into a better space and then reflect, right? Because you're in a different mindset. You're not, when you're thinking from the negative train, you're like, everything, there's no solution. There's no way out here.
Absolutely.
But if you can get yourself out and then you have a look and go, now I see it. Now I know why I was there. And now I know what triggered me.
Yeah.
I might not know what to do with it, but now I can identify it. Now I can go get some help and go, I need some help with this, or I can read up on it, or I can listen to a podcast. So that's what, to get a better understanding of where you currently are, the best place to start is in thought.
Yep.
Are you able to self-evaluate where your mind's sitting? Because that will give us the biggest indication of whether you're going to self-love or self-sabotage.
Yeah. And that awareness is so important to just be able to move forward and reflect, because when you reflect, you understand like you said, what the trigger is. How can I get help with this? What's the next step I can take? And that's how you heal and that's how you grow.
Yeah.
And
Well, like you were saying earlier, not everyone wants to admit that they're addicted to toxic relationships or, you know, things that aren't good for us. And I'm not talking about substance and alcohol. I mean, obviously that too, but it could be bad food. It could be a bad sleeping pattern. It could be not a very nice relationship. And a lot of people don't want to go, you know what, I actually am attracted to that and it's part of my patterning. And until they do, it's almost like when you go to AA, you can't stand up and say, I'm an alcoholic unless you've admitted that you're an alcoholic, right? And there's something to work on. And so that's the same in our any behavioural pattern. You've got to be able to stand up and say, this is the issue. This is the challenge. It's not that something's wrong with me.
No.
This is my challenge right now.
Yeah.
And as soon as you can admit that, then you've got something to work with.
Exactly right. That's power within itself.
Absolutely.
You know, power to move forward.
Yeah.
So what are some common situations that may occur if you have low levels of self-love? And what would these situations look like when your self-love is really topped up? So just to give an idea of one end of the spectrum to the other.
Okay, so what do I see? Sometimes I see this in relationships where there might be, I'll use the example as a female, she's getting dressed up, she feels really great about herself, she thinks she looks beautiful, and she walks out to the lounge room and her partner goes, that looks really awful on you. You look really big in that, you really shouldn't wear that, and starts to chip away at her.
Yeah.
There's a couple of issues with that example though. First of all, you probably need to check your partner.
Yeah.
Right?
First up,
Right? Second of all, that woman, and it's not always a woman, it happens to men all the time, but I'm just using this as an example, is reliant on that man's approval.
Yeah.
That, oh, he doesn't think I look good. He thinks I should be a bit embarrassed. I better go get changed to make him happy because then if he's happy, I'm happy. Right? And so initially she goes, I'm going to fill my cup up and I'm going to wear this and I feel great.
Yeah.
And then goes into a space where her partner is and he's made her feel like crap. And then she's like, shit, I shouldn't fill my own cup up because that doesn't make him happy.
Yeah.
I better make him happy because then I'm happy, which is just an illusion, right? Because how many times can you make someone happy to make yourself happy?
Yeah.
Right. It's another variable in this social experiment we're doing as life, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to go from you and ping pong to him and ping pong back to work out how to fill your cup up. Doesn't work. Okay. So that's an example.
Yeah.
Another example would be, because if she was confident in herself, to the other extreme, if she was confident, had self-love, she probably wouldn't be with someone like that. And if he did say something about how she looked, she would laugh it off and go, I don't really care.
Yes.
I'm still wearing it, and just flick her hair and do the whole, I love it, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not in that space of self-love, self-care, self-worth, then the things that people say really impact you. And we see this a lot around, fat shaming.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't feel fat, if someone said to you, oh my God, you're so fat, if you don't feel fat, it doesn't bother you.
Yeah.
You're like, whatever.
You'd be like, PHAT, I look good.
Which fat are you talking about, right? Yeah. So this is an example, because if you don't, like if I said to you, Mal, you're such a fat cow, right? You'd be like, I know I'm not, as a girlfriend. But if you felt that really, you would go away and go, oh my God, she thinks she was joking, but she thinks I'm fat.
Yeah.
So that self-esteem and that thought, the power of thought is really important, because if you don't feel that, when someone says it to you, you don't get triggered. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to you.
No.
It's funny you give that situation, because when I was much younger, I was in a relationship, and I bought this. My brother went to America and he bought me this really bright and shiny red lipstick, and I thought it was so cool. And I put this lipstick on and I walked out, and my boyfriend at the time laughed at me and he said, "You look ridiculous in that red lipstick," and made me feel, I got so upset. I went and took it off and I just put lip balm on because I felt so silly.
Yeah.
And I just remember I never forgot that. It hurt me so much. And because I was I had, my self-love wasn't topped up.
Yeah.
I didn't feel good. I didn't have self-esteem. And then, now I love wearing red lipstick. I wear it all the time. I'm like, yeah, I look good.
Absolutely,
Like, obviously no one's perfect and there are things that always get me and whatever, but that example, it's crazy. It depends, depending on where you're at. People's comments can really hurt you, whether you believe it to be true or not. If you're not in a good place or you don't feel good and you're looking for someone else to give you that gratification and tell you you're beautiful and tell you look great and give you that approval, then you just shrink.
Yeah.
You shrink.
We see it with celebrities a lot.
Oh, yeah.
They've been in this limelight and they've just had to get approval, whether it's from their manager or their team or their parents, and, they grow up and people say things online and bully them and these people are human, but they're already so fragile and so vulnerable because their self-esteem and self-worth isn't there, even though they're amazing and people they have all this love. Because their self-worth is not there, or they feel like there's something wrong with them in some capacity, whether it's, from the way they were parented, their childhood taken away from them because of the entertainment industry, whatever it is, those things really cut deep. Yeah. And we see a lot of things happen where they're going to self-medicate, they're doing things that are not helpful because they're like, I'm not worthy. Yeah. But then you see other people that are in, the limelight and anyone can say anything to them and it's like not fazed. Yeah. So you can see where someone is mental health-wise and self-love-wise in the way they react to the way people think of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to confidence, motivation, self-worth, and all those really deep and super important emotions, where does self-love come into this? And would you say it's really at the core of all of these things? Because I feel like everything we've talked about has been so empowering. When you think of self-love, it's like, I think of a power woman,
Yeah, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like you just own your shit.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, self-love is just the buzzword.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just the overarching theme of, confidence, motivation, self-worth, boundaries, pleasure. All those things is self-love.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have confidence because you don't feel good enough to have confidence, if you're not motivated because you don't feel like you're good enough to achieve what you want to achieve, self-worth is you're going to have some self-worth to accept some of the things around you and put boundaries up to reject some of those things around you. So all of those things are really at the core of what self-love means.
Yeah.
So without that solid foundation, we can't really achieve a very deep and this might even like if you look back on your experience in the relationship, you've brought it up a couple of times in our and the way we chat and when we've had our podcast. You've spoken about a relationship just recently about you and the red lipstick. If you think about that relationship, without all of those things, those foundational things, you wouldn't have been able to achieve a deep emotion like you could now in your relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That vulnerability, that connection, that, okay to make a mistake, not feeling judged. Yeah. It's a very different ball game. And so you need all of those to be able to have a functional, deep, connected relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really like self-love is just the top of the umbrella, and then all of these things, all these amazing things just trickle down, which is great.
Yeah, it's like a trifle. Yeah. The cherries on top and then you've got the cream and the custard and the sponge and the jelly.
That's beautiful. So as relationships are love are your thing, what does self-love mean when it comes to a healthy relationship, and how does it change your perspective when you're single?
It doesn't.
Okay, so it's the same.
It's the same, right? Because remember we said earlier, self-love is self-love.
Yeah.
And it's transferable whether you're in a relationship or not, whether you're in Australia or not, whether you have parents or not, whether you have siblings or not, whether you have children or not. It's you.
It's you.
You're the only variable when it comes in. That's all. It's you and love. There's nothing in between. So when you think about relationships, there is no way you can have a healthy relationship without two people coming with their cup full, right? Loving themselves enough to be in a relationship so that then if their cups are full, they're like mixologists, right? But if you're coming, like we said before, if you've got two empty cups, you got nothing to give.
Yeah.
And you can't expect an empty cup to pour into yours. So it's very important that you're in a position where when you're getting into a relationship, you've got all those things. You know what your boundaries are. You respect yourself. You know what consent is. That's part of boundaries. You know, do you consent to some of these things?
Yeah.
You know, what are your values? Do you respect yourself? Do you have some goals? Are you motivated? All those things are really important because you bring that to the relationship. Now, no relationship is part of you. It doesn't make up half of you.
Yeah.
You know, often we hear, this is my other half.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds good, but at the end of the day, that other half has the ability to get up and walk away.
Yeah. And they're a whole.
At any time, right? Because they're their own whole, right?
Exactly.
So I think we need to move away from this is my other half and I'm looking for my other half or my other person, because that's not entirely true.
Yeah.
You are a whole and they are a whole, and you come together and you mix it all together.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, and this is where we fall flat in relationships, is that we go in looking for the other half and 10 years later or, 5 years later or even 12 months later, that other half has its own legs and walks away.
Yeah.
Doesn't hop with one foot, one leg, right? It's got its own two legs and they have free will to get up and leave.
Yeah.
And so this is why it's so important to be able to self-soothe, to reflect, to be aware of self, to respect self, to have boundaries. That is why it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's no distinction. There's no difference between self-love in relationships or out of it.
I guess what I meant there is when you're single and you don't have that self-love compared to if you loved yourself and you were single, I feel like it would be a totally different experience. You know, you'd feel excited and empowered for what's to come or where you are at the moment and all the amazing time you have for yourself, whereas I feel like if you maybe didn't have that and you were single, it'd be like, I'm never going to find someone. I'm always alone,
you
and
sit in that space. So what tends to happen with those people, and I see this often, is that they fill the void.
Yeah.
They fill the void with things that still don't satisfy them. So I've got serial daters, serial friends with benefits, serial one-night standers, all of that. And then they still come and they're like, Dr. Love, but I still don't feel satisfied. It doesn't matter how much sex I have.
Yeah.
I slept with 5 people this week, but why am I not satisfied? Because it doesn't, what are you wanting from the other people to fill your cup up? Yeah. You know, the more people I sleep with, the more validation I have, the more my cup's full. What they start to realize is that's actually not true. And then they get into a place of, I feel a bit depressed or I feel a bit flatlined about that because I was hoping someone else could do it for me. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that, if you're single and you've worked on yourself and you're loving your life and it doesn't matter if you're with someone or not, it doesn't matter. You just do you do life, right? We're seeing the ones that don't do that, really reliant on other people. This is where in February people are struggling. I'm seeing people in love, I'm seeing them get gifts and I'm getting nothing. It's really a triggering month. And it doesn't need to be, because love doesn't really discriminate on which month it is.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
You know, like you can have love all the way through the year. You know, you might find someone in March and miss out on, February. It's okay.
That's great.
It doesn't matter. But so to answer your question, when they are single, I think tends to happen is that when they're struggling around the self-love space, that they're filling the void with things that are not always healthy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've really touched on why self-love is so damn important. Now, what are some things that we can do physically and mentally to work on our own levels of self-love? How can we boost that? How can we nourish that so we can feel our best and really empower ourselves?
Yeah. So the one rule I have, treat yourself like your own best friend.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is your self-talk stuff. You know, would you tell your best friend when they come out that you love unconditionally, that, oh my God, you can see a roll, or you can see a stretch mark, or why have you got grey hair, or do you think you need to lose a few kilos before you put that dress on? Like, you love her and she's beautiful and she's rocking it, and, you know, we love how you look. You would say, girl, you look amazing. But then we go to the mirror and we see ourselves and we go, oh, you can see that mark, or you can see that roll. So I would say, you know, if you don't say it to your best friend, don't say it to self.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate rule around self-love, because what you think about is what you bring about.
Yeah.
And that's all you will notice. If you're noticing the roll, if you're noticing the stretch mark, if you're noticing the bags under your eye, or whatever it is, that's usually not a problem for anybody else except for you.
Yeah.
Right? Because no one else notices it.
No one else notices that stuff.
No. Everyone's worried about themselves.
Exactly.
The same way you're looking at the mirror, looking at your stretch mark, is the same way the other person is looking at the mirror, looking at theirs.
Absolutely.
They're not looking at yours.
No.
And so it's just an illusion. And we spend so much time worried about what other people think about us. It's a waste of time. But all we need to worry about is how we think of ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's really damn important to think about yourself as a best friend.
Yeah.
You know, live your own narrative every single day. And if you would want to live that narrative in a really bad place, go for it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how long you'll do it for, because it's in our nature to live free. It's in our nature to be happy. It's in our nature to want to live life, to be alive. That's why we have oxygen. Our bodies are made to live. And so the narrative is very important. So self-talk, you know, is going to be key. Thought always. It starts always with a thought, and also being your best friend. The other thing is self-love doesn't come naturally.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something, unfortunately, we're born with it, and then we become socialized for a lot of years.
Yep.
And now with social media, we're seeing this go on for a lot longer. And I will tell you honestly, like, it took me a long time. You know, I feel like I still work on this all the time. This is not just a one-way ticket to self-love. No, there are times where you check out of this space and then you go, shit, I like that space better. What do I need to do to get there? So it's only human to go check in and check out of this space. So definitely it's like a muscle. You know, you've got to work it every day, do something each day, anything, whether it's meditation, whether it's journaling, whether it's saying no.
Yeah.
You know, saying no is a really good reminder that we're worthy of having a boundary, that our time is worth, you know, it's not worthless. Our time is valuable.
Yeah. And we are in control.
Yeah. We are always.
Yeah.
Have, you know, even just saying yes to one vegetable a day.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
That's you nurturing and really putting into yourself, filling your cup up. I'm not saying eat 8 cups a day, even though we probably should.
Yeah.
But if it means that you start with one, then that's the one positive thing you did today for yourself.
Yeah.
If it means you said no to somebody, that you can't do something that you really can't do, and you're going to be stretching yourself, well, then acknowledge that. You know what? I did that. They're still talking to me. They don't hate me. I'm still alive. And I can say yes next time. And that's okay. And you just practice that muscle. So you definitely need to be practicing every single day. It's like the practice of yoga, right?
Yeah.
You're never an expert at it.
No. Yeah.
You can get bendier and stretchier and there's always another move, right? And you can always hold it longer. And that's what happens with self-love. It's the practice of self-love. It's not an end. It's not an end destination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just giving to yourself every day, like you said, doing one thing, making one change. I feel like, you feel empowered from that. Whether it's the smallest little thing, at the end of the day, you can still say to yourself, but I did that one thing and that was just for me and that felt good.
Yeah.
Regardless of how big or small it is, I think it's those little things that make such a huge difference.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And I think we are pleasure adverse.
Yeah.
So people tend to move away from pleasure, especially women. It's almost like they're not entitled to it. And if they are in a space where they want to feel pleasured, sometimes they go the extreme other way and they eat a lot of food that they feel like are pleasuring them, you know, the wrong food.
Yeah.
So I feel like we need a balance of everything.
Yeah.
You know, just one thing. If you feel what that piece of chocolate will give you pleasure, if you want to self-pleasure yourself at night, you know, once a week, that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, just pick it and go, you know what, I did that.
Yeah.
And own it. You know, there's no shame, there's no guilt. We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
Just go, oh, that worked. That didn't work. Okay, next.
Yeah. Try something different next week.
Yeah, that's
amazing.
right.
Yeah. Amazing. I feel good after this episode. I'm like, I feel empowered and I feel like I've got to work on this, I think, and I'm going to continue working on that. It's such a good reminder and, you know, self-love is so important. And like you said, it is the buzzword. And under that buzzword is things like your confidence and your self-esteem and your motivation and empowerment and all these great things. And you know, that's what we want. We want to be that woman. We want to have those feelings. We want to know that we are worthy and that we are good enough. So,
I know I'll be working on it. I do every day.
Absolutely.
Doesn't come naturally.
No.
It's something that you're conscious of.
Yeah.
You really need to be conscious
Make
of
an
it.
effort. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So where can our listeners come and follow you?
Well, they can find me on Instagram.
Amazing.
It's dr.lurve or my website, www.drlove.com. Or they can send me an email if they have a question. It's info@drlove.com.
Beautiful. We will put all that in the show notes as well to make it super easy. But thank you so much for giving us all that incredible information on why self-love is so important.
So important. I loved being here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, of course. So that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope you have taken even just one piece of wisdom from this episode that you can apply to your life to help you grow and be a happier and healthier version of yourself. Please like, subscribe, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and make sure to share us on your socials. Sending lots of love to you all. Bye. Yay! Oh my God, I couldn't get that last bit out.